Hello art students and art enthusiasts. In this video, I quickly demonstrate and explain my step-by-step process of drawing a sculpture in a museum. This time I visited the Getty Villa and focused on an ancient Greek sculpture of Hercules, studying its classic proportions and ideals of beauty. There's plenty of other really cool exhibits in there as well, and I really suggest you visit the Getty Villa sometime. Meanwhile, don't forget to click like on this video, share it with someone, support me on Patreon, visit my website to buy a painting, and leave any of your comments and suggestions for future videos in the comment section below. Let's begin. First, I stake out the height of the sculpture and drop a center of gravity line. I divide it in half. The center of gravity becomes a gentle S curve. The upper half becomes the center for the torso and the lower half a leg onto which Hercules leans. I position the shoulder line at an angle and at around 1/8 proportion to the height. His left leg is relaxed and bent, so knees line up at an angle as well, which I capture at 1/4 proportion to the height. I estimate the leg silhouette and the waistline, which always line up with elbows, and I project both elbows through the waistline. The chest line is also at 1/8 proportion, and shoulder line can be lowered a bit now that I sketched the head in. I draw the center line for the face and draw a line along which the eyes will line up. At this angle, it's close to half and half of the head. This helps position the ear, bottom of the nose, mouth, and the hairline. Now I connect shoulder points to chest width and mark the neck muscles to collarbone connection on my torso. I connect the curvatures in the silhouette of his shoulders to his collarbones, which follows the same angle of incline and perspective as the shoulders and the chest. I find the width of his torso by sizing up the width of his arm in proportion to the chest and come to find the bottom of his rib cage, which is just above the waistline. This leads me to find the boundaries of his abdominal muscles, which run along the torso center, connecting to his groin and the incline of the pelvis. Now I tighten up the location of his right inner elbow, pelvic area, and groin. I make sure his right thigh isn't overly extended. His left thigh line is nearly vertical, suggesting relaxation. I connect the curvatures in thighs to his knees and establish a boundary for the right thigh shadow because it leads me right to the knee. From knees, I connect the bone structure to the feet and tighten up their angles of rotation at the ankles. Again, I focus on silhouette of leg muscles and their connection to the bones. The lion's skin overlaps the leg on his side, so I tighten up the hand and the forearm, drafting, focusing on muscle silhouettes and their connection to the inner elbow and wrist. The lion's skin hangs limp, so I make sure its lines reflect that. Keeping them straight and long, I drop a line along the leg to cover the would-be curvatures of his muscles. For the lion face, I use the same principle as for any face. A line for both eyes, center line for the head, connecting it to what used to be the lion's neck. Lion's legs also separate at about the same tilt as his facial center. The rest of the skin is like drapery. I find the main folds and connect them to the hand and tighten up the leg line along the lion skin overlap. His left foot is seen in nearly a profile. To get it right, I need to finish the rest of the leg. Again, the curvatures of the silhouette of the leg connect to the knee and inner leg muscles connect to his pelvis and form some shadows. I estimate the width of his lower leg And now I can work on his left foot, drawing the shadow which helps see the geometric structure of it. I darken the background to see the silhouette of the sculpture better. Finally, I come to work on his left arm. Elbow lines up with the waistline. The forearm bends and connects to the hand, which is grasping the club. I make sure to capture the structure of the club with its knobs. I count them and space them along the club as they create curvatures, and Hercules' hand must fit in between those knobs. I adjust the hand to fit better between the knobs. I focus on how fingers overlap the club as a block and then divide them into individual fingers. I add cast shadow from the club onto the body and tighten up his left torso side and darken the background. I add some facial features along the lines I drew earlier. I focus on the angle of the nose to the face as it is easily seen. I focus on placement of eyes and the distance to the eyebrows. I add more dark values to the rest of the background to better evaluate the silhouette of the sculpture. I add the pedestal to ground the sculpture and make sure the perspective is realistic. I separate the right foot toes along planes of the foot and add more nuances to the left foot, as well as cast shadow on the platform. I clean up the light areas of the body and add nuanced shading according to the musculature. As you can see, I am using a knitted eraser because I can shape it into a fine tip and pick up some, but not all, the pencil marks. It allows for better precision. The drawing process now is getting to be more precise and engrossing. Each touch of the pencil, each little mark has to be as precise as possible, or I risk distorting the features of Hercules. I darken the background considerably to give me more room for the darker spectrum within the sculpture shadows. I focus on more nuances in the light and shadow areas of the torso, sculpting it with pencil marks along tilting planes of the muscles. I continue in the same manner all over each body part. I smooth out the separation between light and shadow with lines that go with curvatures of each body part. I keep pencil marks for the background straight and overlapping to show the flatness of the wall behind the sculpture. For the next minute or so, I go over the entire sculpture in this manner, focusing on all the little details. A quick reminder, if you really like this video, don't forget to click like. Also subscribe to my channel for more tutorials like this one and on art and painting in general. I add more details to the lion's skin, the sculpted fur. It too lines up with the center line of what used to be lion's neck. I darken the cavities and the eyebrows and add details to the snout. I darken the shadow between lion's legs and add more folds to that skin and darken it a bit. I go back to the hand and the club and use the same approach, bringing my drawing closer to completion. I darken the background all around and decide to stop at this point. My legs were very numb from standing as still as I could, and I was hungry. So I decided to go and get lunch. And while sitting at the table, I finished this sketch. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to leave comments in the comment section. I would love to answer any of your questions. Like, share, subscribe, support me on Patreon, visit my website to buy a painting, and see my other tutorials on my YouTube channel. Until next time!